Okay. A couple of little things I'd like to mention that aren't in your handout. You notice at the bottom of my iPhone, I have a '16 in a little red circle. Okay, when you're reading directions, sometimes that 16 means for emails that I have not read yet, 16 of them. Okay, that little red dot with a number in it is called a badge. Okay, so when you're reading directions, they say, if you have a badge appear, you'll know what they're talking about. Now I'm going to go back over to some of my other home screens, and let's get started on the handout. We're going to open up settings, which is that little gear thing down there in the lower right-hand corner. I touch settings and it comes up, and I scroll all the way to the top, and that's where we're going to start, at the top. And I'm going to tap my name at the top. And look at here. We got name, phone numbers, email. We got password and security, payment, shippings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of information here. And when you see that chevron on the right-hand side, that's called a chevron, that little V thing, and it's pointing to the right, that means that if you touch that line, it's going to open up. And so I'm going to touch name, phone numbers, and email, and it scrolls a little bit and it opens up, and there's my name and my emails and all that other stuff. So I'm going to go back. You didn't have time to copy that, did you? Okay, good. I have 7 emails. And now I want to go down to password and security, and I touch that. And again, some information. You can have 2-factor authentication turned on, which I do. And you can see what apps use your Apple ID. And again, there's the apps I have that are using my Apple ID. That's good information for you. And of course, at the top, you can see this is where you can change your Apple ID password. I'm not going to go through and touch all those things. Okay. And then I'm going to touch Apple ID and go back. And next thing I'm going to do is tap payment and shipping. And I have an Apple credit card. And you'll see that information. And it's loading the payment and shipping information. And yes, I order things through my Apple card or a Visa card. And I have a shipping address, which if you touch that line, you can change it, etc. Cool. Okay, let's move right along. And now I'm going to tap subscriptions. And when you look at subscriptions, you can see what you're subscribing to. All right, I have active Apple Music and expired Apple TV. And of course, the top one there is a advertisement. Get all of those things in a bundle, and it's cheaper. All right, going back to settings again. And now we're going to page 2 of the handout. And I'm going to tap Apple iCloud. Now, this is something that everyone should do. Whether you have subscriptions and all that other stuff is not super important. This is super important. Okay. First off, let's look at the bar graph at the top. Yes, I pay $1 a month for 50 gigabytes of iCloud. iCloud, okay, that's the cloud. What's a cloud? A cloud is a bunch of servers in a building somewhere, and that's where you store information. Apple does some fantastic cloud buildings with solar energy. And, you know, there's 2 or 3 people in the building, small parking lot, lots of air conditioning, keeps everything running. That's what a cloud is. Take special note of the size of the different backups, okay? And see, the backup is a little purple thing, and the size of my backups is the biggest thing I have in my iCloud account now. If you tap on Manage Storage, they're going to offer you some other options, okay? But if you tap Manage Storage, you can see how big all those things are in that bar graph on the top. Notice my backups, 1.8 gigabytes, is bigger than my photos. And I have hundreds of photos up there. And then I have iMessages that are saved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can go down that list and you can look at. And you want to go here when you say, oops, I'm running out of the 5 gigabytes free of iCloud storage. So what should I not store anymore? If you scroll down, you can see all of those things. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go down to iCloud Backup. And you can see it almost at the top there. And I want to talk a second about Keychain too. Apple does a pretty good job of storing passwords for you. I've done a lot of research on it, and I think they do a darn good job. I have some things in Keychain, but I don't put my bank stuff in Keychain or my credit union stuff in Keychain. So Keychain is your password manager for Apple. iCloud Backup. iCloud Backup means that you want to back up what you have on your device in iCloud. And what you want to back up is that list below, where it starts with books, pages, etc. And you notice I have a lot of things I don't want to back up, okay? Now, if you're going to do a backup, touch that line and it says backup now. You can back up now. Notice yesterday I did a backup at 10:33. But if you do a backup now, make sure you have plenty of power on your device. I highly recommend that you plug it in. If you're in the middle of a backup and your device runs out of power, you got a problem. Okay? And I listed there under A and B for iCloud Backup what it includes and what it does not include. Okay? You need to back up if you're going to get a newer device. Mary, are you listening? You need to back up if you're going to get a new device, because many of the things that you back up will be automatically downloaded into your new device. That's cool. Okay, so now we're going to go back and we're going to look at iCloud Drive. And I have iCloud Drive on, okay, and what you put into iCloud Drive is documents that stay there and are up to date. And you can store a lot of stuff in the iCloud Drive. It works the same as other storage services like Google Drive, OneDrive, which is Microsoft, Dropbox, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go back and tap Apple ID. All right, and I'm sorry, I want to go back over there again. So I'm going to go to iCloud, and you notice my photos is on. You can select what you want to do with the photos that you take on your device. And then I have these other things on and off. Okay, and those are the things that I'm going to put up into the iCloud. And of course, if I go to manage storage again, I can see how big those different backups are. Just backups from my iPhone and my iPad is 1.8 gigabytes. All right, now we're going to go back, and we're going to go back, and we're going to go back, and now I'm back at the settings homepage, and I want to go down to Bluetooth. I'm going to tap on Bluetooth, and lo and behold, there's Bluetooth, and it says hands-free link is not connected on my iPhone. But when I get close enough to my car and my car is running, then that should turn to connected. And notice it's always looking for other devices. And it did find one of my Samsung sound bars that I have in the house for my big TVs. But it'll continue to search for other devices. So you can Bluetooth to other devices. Now, what is Bluetooth? Bluetooth is the same as Wi-Fi, just a shorter range. All right, we're going to go back, and now we're going to go down to Do Not Disturb. And again, I'm on my iPhone, and you need to have a conversation with yourself about, are you going to use Do Not Disturb while you're driving your car? Yes, when I get into my car, I turn on Do Not Disturb. All right, because I concentrate on what I'm supposed to be doing, which is driving. Notice also, you can set up your iPhone and your iPad to not disturb you between certain hours. And I have 10 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, and those devices won't go off. Now, there's some caveats to those devices won't go off. Let's say somebody wants to call you in an emergency. You need to tell them, if when they call the first time, you don't answer, hang up and immediately call again from the same device. And then it will go through my Do Not Disturb. My kids know that. If they got an emergency, call, and they get a little message, Do Not Disturb is on. You can't get through. Have a nice day. Call back again. All right. Repeated calls, top of page 4, from the same person within 3 minutes. Call. All right, let's go back to general. So I had touch settings, and I'm back to general. I'm going to scroll up a little bit with general near the top of the page, and I'm on the top, general. Now, down here you have storage. If you're using an iPad, it'll say iPad storage. Notice mine says iPhone storage. So I tap on iPhone storage, and now I'm looking at the storage that I have on my device. Not in the cloud, on my device. And here's where you might find this thing really filled up. So you got to make some decisions. And again, the list below tells you, okay, how big, how much space those different apps are taking, okay? Notice I have 128 gigabytes and 18.2 of those 128 are being used. So, and then the review large attachments, that's a thing that's been recently added. It may not be on an older device. And it says I can save 137.9 megabytes if I go and take a look at them. And so I go over there and It shows me every one of the pictures, and which ones I delete will save me more space on my device. So you play with that and you try to figure out, how can I save space on my device? Now, I back up all of my photos also to OneDrive, which is Microsoft's free 5 gigabytes of storage, right? And the reason I store them up there is because if you store them into iCloud and then you delete them on the phone and you're still connected to iCloud, it'll delete them in iCloud also. So you don't lose your photos that way. All right. Now we're going to go back a step, and I want to go down to background app refresh, which is right under the storage thing. Background app refresh. Now, notice I have some items turned off here. And this is because I do not want my battery in my device to be running down, losing battery life, because all of these things are on. And if all these things are on, what happens is, if the developers or Apple wants to send you an update to that app that's listed and you got it on because you got background app refresh on, you're discharging your battery. You're losing battery strength. All right. Some people never knew this. They had all these things on and they couldn't figure out why their battery on their phone was discharging in a matter of hours. Okay. So go in here and decide what you want to be refreshed. And if you want background app refresh, or if you want Wi-Fi cellular data, the tower to refresh you, or if you want it off. So that's background app refresh. We're now on page 5. Multitasking. A couple of years ago, Apple decided that, sometimes you want to multitask. You want to do that on your phone, which has a smaller screen than your iPad. And so you want to multitask. And that means move from one task to the next. So if you have a device that has, I'm going to clear, excuse me, I'm going to clear and go back to my home screen. If you have a device that has a home button, you double click it and you go into multitasking. Now, what is multitasking? It's all the apps that are suspended that you have been using recently. And so in an iPhone or an iPad that you don't have a home button, you scroll up slowly from the center and stop. And there's multitasking. Look at all the tasks I have open. See? All these things. They're in suspension. All right? They're in suspension, and they've been in suspension for some time. Now, Apple says this doesn't bother your device. You're losing a little memory somewhere, folks, because all these things are in suspension. And you might also be using up some power from your battery for these things in suspension. So how do you get rid of them out of suspension? You touch, drag up, touch, drag up, touch, drag up, touch, drag up, touch, drag up. And that's how you get rid of them. And on the phone, it's a little more difficult to do with the finger, but you can, in fact, get rid of all of them. And when you get rid of all of them, then what happens is you go back to your home screen automatically. And I got rid of all of them. Now I have no multitasking ability, but I have no apps in suspension. And if I wanted to multitask, when the multitask screen comes up, I would touch the other app I want to go back to. All right. So now, those are some additional things that I wanted to show you about iPads and iPhones and getting into a lot of information in a lot of decisions you have to make in settings. Now, the next thing is cut down on your battery drain. If you want to have your battery last longer hours between charges, then you need to cut down on your battery drain. And here's how to adjust it. You go to settings, you go to display and brightness, and you see that my setting for my display and brightness is about 60%. If you have it all the way up, your battery is going to drain faster. I carry light instead of dark. If you go dark, your battery will not discharge as quickly. And you notice that I have night shift off, but I also have auto lock for 5 minutes, meaning if I don't touch my phone for 5 minutes, it's going to go back to a lock position. The auto lock times are different on an iPad. I've also turned off raise to wake on my phone, which doesn't exist on the iPad. And what raise to wake means is every time I pick up my phone, it'll wake up. Nope. Every time I pick up my phone now, I have to tap it to wake it up. Cool. All right. Now we're going down to the next page, which is using low power mode. And if you need a lot of battery power for long periods of time during the day on your phone or your pad, then you probably want to turn on low power mode. And it does some things automatically to save power on your device. So you tap settings, we're already into settings. You scroll down to where you can see the battery. I got it right in the middle of the page there, battery. And I'm going to tap on battery. When I tap on battery, I have some information. Now, this can be a little confusing when you first look at it. But the fact of the matter is, it tells you a lot of information. And I have low power mode off, but you can turn it on. And it reduces the background activity and downloads and mail fetch, etc. Okay. What you're seeing now on my graphs that are shown is in the last 24 hours. What did my battery usage look like? And in the last 10 days, what did it look like? In the last 24 hours, and this device down here at the bottom, KYVOL, that's my little round vacuum cleaner that runs itself, and I control it with my phone. Ooh. Okay, so, and yes, we were vacuuming yesterday. And then the other big thing on my battery usage is my phone, and then below that contacts and on down. So you go here and you look and you see what's happening to my device and how come it's draining the battery. What apps are being used to drain my battery? And KYVOL was my little vacuum cleaner. So next item, to save battery life, always set your phone down, face down. But in order to have that work, you have to make some adjustments into your phone. So we're going to tap settings, which we're already in, and I'm going to go to privacy, which is right under battery. Okay. And then I'm going to scroll down, and on motion and fitness, I'm going to tap that, and I'm going to turn on fitness tracking. And now, when I put my phone down, face down, I will be saving battery. Next item, disable background app refresh. And we already covered that, but let's go back and do it again. I'm going to go to General, and I'm going to go down to Background App Refresh. And I'm going to either turn the whole thing off, or I'm going to turn off things that I don't want to be refreshing while they're suspended. Oh. And of course, we just went through, now we're on page 7, how to find out which apps are consuming the most battery. So you go to settings and you go to, I just tapped and took a picture of my settings. You go down to battery, and you can see which devices, which apps, are using up your battery. Turn off vibrations and turn off the ringer. So we're again saving battery. You go into settings and you go down to sound and haptics right here. And you decide whether or not you want to have vibrate on ring or not. Vibrate on silence. I got that on. Okay. And make those decisions to save battery. Next one, item G. All right. Optimize charging. Again, we're going to go to settings. Then we're going to go down to battery. And
Jerry.
yeah.
We've got a couple people saying, hold on, they can't find what you just mentioned. Can you go back a little bit?
I'll go back. I'm in settings. Okay. And I'm going to go back to item F, disable vibrations and turn off the ringer on the iPhone. So I tap settings, I go down to sound and haptics. I touch that, and right there at the top, you have some settings for vibrate on ring or vibrate on silence. Headphone safety, that's for the number or the amount of dBs that you put into your headphone. And ringer and alerts, notice I got mine turned all the way up, because sometimes I'm not wearing my hearing aids like I am now, and I need to hear my phone. Sometimes I have it in my pocket. And then of course you can choose some other stuff there too.
Okay, Jerry, I'm going to ask you to pause a minute too. Rochelle, it looks like you have a question. Do you want to unmute and ask Jerry?
Yes, I'm not following. Tell me again what why you're adjusting the vibration. I did find it.
Yeah. It just saves battery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because saving battery, I'm totally interested in. So
yeah, you know, especially during this pandemic, my dear, I spend a lot of time in the house, so I'm not very far away from a charging, and I don't have my battery discharging quickly because maybe of other settings I have. But for the people who, need that maximum battery life during a day, okay, this might be helpful. Turn off the
Jerry,
vibration. Okay?
I don't know if you're going to go over this, but I also have an Apple Watch, and I have a real problem with maintaining the battery charge.
You also have a what?
Apple Watch.
Oh, Apple Watch. Charge on your battery, Apple. Right?
Yes.
Okay. When I get through with this presentation, I'm going to put my email address up there and you email me and I will send you the answer.
Great. Thank you so much.
Because I also have an Apple Watch.
Okay. Okay.
And there are some specific things you can do to save battery on the Apple Watch. Okay.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go back to mute.
All right. Optimum charging. Preserve battery health. And your battery or your phone learns about your charging schedules and what have you. Recently, there's been a lot of articles on the internet about charging. What I used to do and what you probably may be doing yourself is, oh, it's bedtime. I think I'll just put my phone on charge, go to bed, and I'll wake up next morning and it'll be 100%. Cool. I've done that for years. I don't do that anymore. That shortens your battery life so that you have to have the battery replaced. So what Apple and everybody else is saying is if you're at 78% on your battery and you want to go to bed, go to bed. Don't put it on charge. Don't make a habit of doing that. Okay. If you're at 50% or below, put it on charge. Why? Charging creates heat. All right. And heat is bad for batteries. All right. So how do we do the optimized charging? We tap settings, we scroll down, we tap battery, and we look at battery health. And we notice that there's a right pointing chevron. So we can touch that line and go over to, and notice it says that my battery is at 100%. And my peak performance capability, and I'm on optimized battery charging to reduce battery aging. So you want to check that out. Why am I at 100%? Because I'm sitting here with my iPhone plugged in. Okay, but let me unplug it. So now I unplugged it. But your battery health is important. You need to check on that frequently. All right. Next thing, tips, tricks, and hints. All right. My first tip, trick, and hint, all right, is something that I covered the other day, and I'm going to cover it again. And I went through it this morning with my significant other, Joyce. All right, one more time. She said to me, she was working on her iPad, playing a game, and she said to me, Jerry, look, every time I touch this app, it just comes up a blank black screen. What's going on here? All right, turn it off. There's a difference between sleep and off. When you are going to do off, you're going to see this kind of display. And I'm going to do it on my phone. This kind of display. I am not going to slide it to off, but that's turning it off. Okay, and when you go to that screen, you have to enter your code again to wake it back up. Off means, and it powers down, and it doesn't power down instantly. You've got to wait at least 30 to 45 seconds after you power off to try to restart it. And when you restart, you push the side button on your screen for your phone, you push the side button or the top button on your iPad, and you hold it down until the white Apple symbol comes up, and then you let it go, and then it'll come back up. And devices don't take long to come back up. But anytime you have a concern about how your device is working, turn it off and then turn it back on. If you want to shift your keyboard, okay, so now we're going to go to, let's go to email, and let's go to, I want to do an email, and I want to shift my keyboard. Okay, hold your finger on the globe. All right. And this only works in portrait mode. And move it left to right, and you'll shift your keyboard. I'm sorry, we were there. Let's go there again. If I want to have a trackpad, hold the space bar down. Now I got a trackpad. See, I can move my anywhere I want. Right. You can create text replacements. Okay, so if you go into settings and you go into general and you go into keyboard, you can set up text replacements, and that's right up here. And notice I have, if I'm writing a text and I put in GBTYS, it means, and instead of GBTYS showing up in my text, get back to you soon will show up in my text. If I put in a J, it brings up a Jere. If I put in a kit, keep in touch, etc., etc., etc. So you can make as many of these keyboard text replacement shortcuts that you want. Cool. All right. Take a screenshot of a document. And how do you do that? Well, there's a couple different ways. It depends on what kind of device you have.
Hey, Jerry. Sorry to interrupt again. I had a question. Shift your keyboard. Please explain.
Shift your keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
All right. See the display I got now?
Mm-hmm.
Because I touched the emoji and held it. And now I can touch my keyboard to this way, touch the emoji and hold it. I can go back to center, touch the emoji and hold it. I can go back this way. That's shifting my keyboard.
Okay.
And again, it works on iPad or iPhone, but it has to be in the portrait mode, not the, landscape mode. It has to be in the portrait mode. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And would you do that just so that it's easier to type with one hand? Why would you do that?
Because you're holding the phone or the device.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now I can touch this chevron over here and then take it back. But if I want it over here, then I can hold the phone like that my thumb is right where I gotta get my pointer to work. Okay, my thumb is right over the chevron, and now I'm holding my phone, this way, and it's easier.
It's just easier to type?
Oh, yeah. And my big fingers, I always use one of these devices with a rubber tip. All right, and it's easier to manipulate now. And I would actually do it this way. I'm going to touch up. I'm going to touch and hold, and I want it over this way because I'm a right-handed typer. And now I can say D, E, whatever, and off it goes. Do I use it? No, but it's there. Okay. Shift your keyboard. It's probably more usable on an iPad than it is on the iPhone. All right, because if you go into the landscape mode, see, it doesn't show up. Keyboard settings doesn't show up, does show up. Emoji shows up, but not to shift your keyboard. Because I'm now in the landscape mode. Going back to portrait mode, touch it, it shows up. Shifting the keyboard. I've never used it, but I know it's there. All right. Hold the space bar. We did that. Text replacements. Sign a document. There's lots of different ways to create a screenshot of your device. It depends on what kind of device you have. Okay, on my iPhone Pro Max 12, I just tap the back and it takes a screenshot. It's a double tap. Notice the screenshot shows up in the bottom left-hand side and it stays there for 3 to 5 seconds. I never timed it. I think the book says 3 seconds, and then it shoots off. Now, where did it shoot off to? It went into my photos. So let's go to photos. And there's a screenshot I just took. Okay. And photos is not showing up. Come on. Hello. So I just lost. Give me a second. I'm going to try to bring it back. If not, we'll continue just by talking. All right, Zoom Jerry. Come on, speak. Whoop. Come on. Nope. All right, we lost it. This is what happened to us on the first time. But we did get through about 40 minutes. My screen mirroring is not working now, so I have to go back. It says restart your device. All right, so I will do that. Let's just take a second.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. I'm going to slide off, which turn my device off. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to let my device sit here for a minute. I got it in my hot little hand. And I'm going to wait for 15 or 30 to 45 seconds. And my device is off. And then I'm going to press the on button.
Okay, and Jerry, can you repeat how to do a screenshot?
Sure. Depending on what kind of device you have, your screenshots, and there's my Apple display. See that, everybody? My Apple display. Now it tells me that my device is coming back up. All right. Screenshots on iPads normally involves holding down the side button and one of the volume buttons at the same time. A screenshot with other devices, it depends on what kind of device you have. My recommendation would be that you go into the internet, go on the internet and put in your search engine, how do I take a screenshot on my iPhone 6, iPhone 7, whatever it is, iPhone X, iPhone 11. But some of the newer ones, I think most of the 11s and 12s, is just double tap on the back and you get a screenshot. Now, sometimes that's very handy because you get a screenshot of, somebody sent you something and you want to save it. Cool. So you take a screenshot. Now, I restarted my device. I'm screen monitoring. I got Zoom Jere. And let's see what happens. And I'm not going to go into pictures again. Yep, we're back. How about that? I'm not going into photos again because that took us right out, didn't it? All right. And we're going to tap here and get rid of that. And we'll move on. All right. If you take a screenshot, tap the thumbnail. The thumbnail is the thing that goes down into the corner. Notice I'm going to take a screenshot again. That's called the thumbnail. So you tap the thumbnail. Now you bring it up and you got to tap the plus. And you tap the plus sign. Let me use my device. There you go. And how about that? Signature. And you can put a signature on the device. Okay. Now, what are you taking a screenshot of? You're taking a screenshot of the thing that you want to add a signature to. So you bring that thing up, then you take a screenshot, then you tap the plus, or you tap the thumbnail, bring it up like this, then you tap the plus, and then you can sign it. All right, I'm going to put that in the garbage. Okay, there you go. Delete screenshot. All right, that's handy. I had a friend of mine who didn't know how to do that, and he needed to sign some papers from a lawyer a couple 100 miles away, and he came over to my house and we did that, and he was so happy. All right, customizing settings per web page. Okay, if I'm going to go on the internet, you're going to open your browser. Notice my browser is DuckDuckGo down here in the corner. This is my browser, DuckDuckGo. All right. So if I open up DuckDuckGo, and I'm going to go to my favorite site, which is How Space to Geek. Go. Now, I'm going to go to the website, How to Geek. All right. And up at the top, you can have here on the address bar, right where you see the B plus, you can have a small a and a big A. All right. And if you tap that, it gives you different information. Now, because I'm using DuckDuckGo on my phone, okay, it's not working the way I describe it. But right up here at the address bar, where you see How to Geek in the address bar, over here on your device, if you're using Safari, you're going to see a big A and a little a. And you tap it, and it's going to allow you to do reader's view, and it's going to allow you to set the font size and a couple other things. Okay, so that's how you customize your web page. Recording. All right. You might want to use your iPad or your iPhone to turn on your microphone or your screen, okay, and record. All right. So what you need to do is you need to go down into the control center, and you can include that in your control center. And how do you get to the control center? Again, depending on your device, usually pulling down from the upper right-hand corner if you're in portrait mode. Now that's the control center. And as you can see, I got a flashlight here. I got all sorts of other symbols. You need to be familiar with those, and it'll make it easier. And then you can add recording in there. And there's a whole lot of stuff that you can add into the control center. Now, how do you put things or take things out of the control center? Well, we go back to settings, excuse me, and we go down to control center. And as you can see, these are all the things that I have in my control center on my phone. And if I want to get rid of flashlights, all I do is touch the minus. If I want to get rid of timer, whatever, okay? Down below that, there's other things that I can add to my control center. All right. Text size, my wallet, etc. So do the control center thing, and then you can quickly do recordings. Phone, silence unknown callers. Again, if you're tired of people calling you that you don't know, you can stop that. You go to settings, and you scroll all the way down to phone. And you scroll down to where it says silence unknown callers, right here. And right now I got it off, but you can turn it on. Now, if you do that, you have to understand this. When somebody calls you and they're not in your contact list, their call is not going to go through. So if you want to hear from your doctor, but you don't have your doctor in your contact list, that ain't going to work. So what do? Well, guess what? I got my doctor in my contact list. All right. Again, you go down to phone, then you go down to Wi-Fi calling, or excuse me, silence unknown callers, and you can turn it on or turn it off. Now, I have it off right now because I'm expecting some calls from some people who aren't in my contact list. But normally, and especially when I'm on the road driving my car, I go into my phone before I start my car, and I turn on Do Not Disturb, and I turn on the thing about silence unknown callers. So that means when I'm going down the road, I'm not going to get one of those calls saying, I want to talk to you about, all right? Great.
Jerry,
Yes.
can you repeat what the control center is? I think that's a vocabulary issue.
Certainly. Okay. The control center is a quick access. Okay. And you put things in the control center so you can quickly get to them. In part one, I did a quick access. There's three things that you can quickly access on your iPad and your iPhone, and the control center is one of them. Just swipe down from the corner or up from the top or up from the bottom, depending on what you're using. Know where your control center is. And when you bring it up, you got access to some things right away. Ooh, I want a calculator. There it is. I didn't have to go through 4 steps to get to my calculator. I got it from my control center. All right, bring down the
Okay.
control center.
All
I
right.
want my camera. There's my camera. Whoops, taking a picture of right there. Okay.
Okay, so you get to it by swiping up from the bottom or down from the,
Yeah, you got to
top.
figure out on your device which one is, which way you bring up the control center. On my iPad, I have the control center emblem floating on my screen, and all I have to do is touch it, and my control center comes up. Ooh.
All
Okay.
right, all right, I've had a request for you to demonstrate how you access the control center.
Again, I put my finger right up here at the top where my pointer is. Okay, I put my finger right up there and I drag down and it opens up the control center. Notice that my battery's at 100%. This symbol here means that I'm doing sharing my iPhone on my device, my computer, and this is my mobile, and that's my tower strength, and this is my Wi-Fi strength. All right. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, I can turn it off. I can play a video here. I can lock my rotation so that when I rotate my device, it doesn't rotate. This is do not disturb. This is my brightness, Apple TV, flashlight, recording, timer, calculator, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And if I want to magnify, and I use my phone to magnify stuff, folks. Okay, I'm not going to push it because I don't know what happens. We might lose our transmission again, so I'm not going to push that. But you can have that there. And what I'm saying is when I can't read something because the print is so small, I use my phone to magnify it. It's really cool. Okay, that's what the control center is all about. I have different setup of the control center on my iPad than I do on my iPhone. All right. So silence unknown callers. The next thing is important. Make calls over Wi-Fi. I was over at my buddy's house the other day and he said, I have trouble sometimes with my cell phone. I got to go stand next to the window to make phone calls. Well, he didn't have make phone calls over the Wi-Fi turned on. You go to settings, you go to phone, you go to Wi-Fi calling and turn it on. If you don't have it turned on, it ain't gonna work. So I have it turned on, meaning that when I make a phone call, it goes to the internet and you can't tell the difference, okay? As you can see by my signal strength up there, as you saw a minute ago when I was in this mode, my T-Mobile signal strength is pretty low. The tower is not real close to me, but my Wi-Fi is stronger. So when I make a phone call, I go through Wi-Fi, and that's how you set it up. Settings, phone, Wi-Fi calling. Now, yeah, when you do a Wi-Fi calling, then they lose you. They can't track you. So you need to set up an emergency address for your phone. All right. Now, somebody calls you and you don't want to talk to them, but you are nice and you start talking to them, okay? And then you say, okay, it's, and you do Wi-Fi. You do a turn off. If you go up here and do airplane mode, it disconnects and they don't know who did it. Oh, the signal dropped. Now, come on, tell me that you've always been using your cell phone and making phone calls and you never had the signal drop. Wi-Fi is hanging up on people. And then you can explain it to them later. Share your Wi-Fi password. Okay.
Jerry,
So,
hold on. Jerry, before you go on, I'm asking questions, and by the time they're addressed, you're way ahead. All right. Now, can we go back? Why would you use Wi-Fi for calling?
because you're not close to a tower.
And how do you know if you are close to a tower?
See here,
In your
see
control
my
center?
display. See my T-Mobile, 1 bar.
Hold on, I got it. Hold on. How do you get to control center?
I swipe down from the upper right-hand corner.
Can you show this on your camera? You're just talking me through it. I need to see you demonstrate it.
No, I can't.
Well, you got a camera.
All right.
There.
No, oh, can you see me?
Yeah, that's what I want.
Oh, right here.
Okay.
Swipe down. Watch. Swipe down.
Bingo.
Now,
Helpful. Thank you.
depending on what kind of device you have, my dear, it might be different.
No, that's exactly what was helpful. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, how do I, but backing up my question though, how do I adjust what's in my control center?
How do you what?
How do you adjust what's in that control center?
Go to settings.
Okay, hold on. Settings,
Now, go to control center. See it? Right under general.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Now
Okay,
you got minuses and pluses.
yes, I see that.
Okay.
So are those
The
where it's,
minuses are the ones that are in the control center and I can take them out. The pluses are the ones I can add to the control center. Now, there's certain things that you cannot take out of the control center, and there's certain things you cannot put in there.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
And I listed those, I think. I made a stupid list in the handout. No, that was, excuse me, that was lesson number 1. That's where it was. See, that was part 1, not part 2.
Okay.
Where I listed them. Okay.
Okay.
Are we
Good.
up? All right. Somebody walks into your house and they have you on their contact list and you have them on your contact list, and they have Bluetooth turned on and you have Bluetooth turned on, and you're running iOS 12 or higher, and they want to get on your internet. So of course they go to settings and then they go to Wi-Fi and they look around and they say, oh, which internet are you? Are you Castelli or are you Century Link 5446? What's your Wi-Fi name? And you say, my Wi-Fi name is JereNet. So they tap on your Wi-Fi name, and then you hold your devices close to each other, and the passcode is passed over automatically. Yee-haw. But you have to meet those other requirements. Both of you have to have Bluetooth turned on. Both of you have to be in the contact list. And all right, so they go to Wi-Fi, they choose your device that your network is on, and then the password is passed over automatically. And you don't have to tell them. Go ahead.
I found my answer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Find your device. I don't know about you guys, but every once in a while, what happens to me is I forgot where I put my phone down. I forgot where I put my iPad down. And Joyce and I have a pretty big house. So how do you find your device? Well, if you got it set up right, you can walk into every room and say, "Hi, Siri," if you got Siri turned on. And you can also use the Find My app, which I'm not going to go into. But if you go to the App Store, you can do a Find My app. Now, I'm going to go to the side for a second because I need you to understand some stuff. I'm going to go to the App Store. All right. And you see up here in the corner, this is my profile picture, which I don't have one. Why? Because if somebody steals my phone, I don't want them to know what I look like when I walk up and whack them across the head. All right. Down here, and if I scroll down, by the way, it always comes up this way because they're advertising. I don't want you to buy this thing. All right. So I can scroll. All right. I can scroll, and there's nothing but advertisements. All right. Now, that's because all of my updates have been done. All right. And of course, you can go to apps, or you can go to arcade, or you can go to search. And I'm going to go to search. Okay. Now, I want to search for Amazon. A-M-A-Z. Amazon. Here's what I wanted to show you. You see up here at the top, Amazon didn't come up, but this is another advertisement, okay? See the little cloud with the arrow pointing down? You know what that means? It's on your device. Or was on your device. Excuse me, it was on your device. You can download it anytime you want to. Okay, that's what that one means. Look at the next one down. Open. That means it's on your device. And sometimes I forget because I got 46 apps on my device that it's there. And I say, oh, I'll go to the store and get it. And if I tap on open, it's going to open. Now, let's scroll up a little bit. There's another one, Amazon Prime Video. It was on my device, it can be downloaded. Amazon Music, it was on my device, it can be downloaded. Amazon and Alexa, it was on my device, it can be downloaded, okay? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, see this one here, Amazon Photos? What does the get mean? The get means you can get it for free. But notice the real small print under get, in-app purchases. And what that means is when you download this app and you start to use it, you're going to get pop-ups in the app saying, you know, you only have Amazon Photos General. You need Amazon Photos Prime. And if you give us 99 cents a month, we'll give it to you.
Jerry, I can't see what you're talking about for.
Look at Amazon Photos.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to use my pointer again. Right here, in-app purchases, real small letters.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
And that means all I'm trying to do is show you what these different things mean. I'm not concerned with the app itself. What are you getting over here? Get means free. All right, no problem. But when you see that in-app purchases there, it's going to be advertisements that go with it. And the little cloud means you had it once, you got rid of it, and you can put it down on your device again. And then open means it's on your device, open it. That was just a side thing about the App Store and what you're really looking at. create an SOS contact. You need to do this, okay? And why do you need to do this? Because you're old and you need to contact some people when something happens. When I'm wearing my Apple Watch and I'm doing certain things, all of a sudden my Apple Watch starts ticking me. It thinks I fell down and it says, have you fallen? Do you need help? Okay, but the same thing for an emergency call list. So you find the health app, and there's a way to find the health app. You go over here. There's my health app. I can see it. See the little one up here with the heart in it. That's my health app. But I can also go all the way over here on a phone to the app library, and I can find health app there also. Either place, I'm going to touch the health app, okay, and then it's going to continue and getting started and all that other stuff. And you take care of business by setting up your medical SOS calls. I'm not going to have health app on there twice, okay? Review medical access, etc. Go through and put in emergency access. Now, when you do that, what happens in your contact list, and I'm going to show you the contact list for my daughter, okay? There's Barbara, one of my daughters, and Penny, the other one. And notice the little red asterisk off to the right. What does that mean? Emergency contact. Cool. All right.
It means favorite, doesn't it?
No, emergency contact.
This emergency contact, okay.
Emergency contact. See it? Right under there. Don't look at my daughters. Okay. This is being recorded, folks. It's going to be put on the internet. So there's certain information I don't want to share with the world. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So emergency contact shows up. Item number 8, page 11, privacy information. Apple just started a new feature, both iPad and iPhone. And developers have to have privacy information on the app. So when you go to the App Store and you decide, come on, App Store, there you go, and you decide that you're going to take a certain app, okay, you need to read about it and you need to see the information about privacy. Okay, why? There's your privacy information. To maintain your privacy, you need to know what apps are doing. What information are they using to track you? What information are they using to link to you? Whoa. Look at all the stuff that Amazon collects. Yeah, how about that? Okay, so what am I saying? Anytime you go to an app and you're going to download it, check out the privacy information about that app before you download it. Now, I'm going to go to my camera on my iPhone. And up at the top, there's a little green, and you can't see it because it's too high. Okay, but right up here at the top, where this information is being overshadowed, there's a little green dot. And the green dot means that my camera is energized. All right, let's go back. Now I'm going to go to recordings. Voice recorder, okay?
Wait a
And
minute, how did you get to voice recording again?
Okay. This was number one. This was part one. Quick access, number one was the control center. All right. Number two, the search. And what I did is I put my finger right here. I put my finger right there, not touching an app. And I move it down and I go into the search mode. And notice it'll search anything and everything, including the internet. And I put in REC for recording, and it came up with voice recorder. Okay.
I can't access the search feature.
All right. What you have to do is put your finger in the middle of the screen and slowly move down. See, I touched an app there. I touched another app and they're wiggling. Okay. Draw down.
There's no space for me to go in.
Well, go to a screen where there is space. All right. I'm going to go over to this screen. Now I'm going to put my finger right here where my bicycle is. See, I'm touching too long. And I'm going to right where my bicycle tire is, and I'm going to draw down. And there's the search option on your phone. Same thing on the iPad. Now you can search anywhere you want.
No.
And what I was going to show you is that when you turn the voice recorder on, the little red dot comes up. Now, here's the point about this little red dot or this little green dot for folks. First off, the red dot shows up as orange. It's a very bad red, but it shows up as orange. Okay, and here's the point. Some apps may turn on the microphone or turn on your camera and you don't know it. The little red dot will show up. So here you are sitting here using this app and you look up at the top of the screen and you see this little green dot. What does it mean? My camera's on. This app turned on my camera. Yeehaw. Little red dot, my microphone's on. So if an app turns that on and you don't know about it, you're going to find the dot.
So the red dot is audio recording?
Yeah, Mike, your microphone is on. But again, the red dot looks orange.
Yeah, but that's identified within the privacy policy of each app.
It should be, yes.
So if I don't want them to record me,
And you go into the app and turn off the recording. If they have the setting for it, okay?
and that would be in the app store itself.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, how to enable Wi-Fi private address? Gee. You know, you can be tracked because of your IP, your internet protocol, okay? And the internet protocol gives your address, all right? So you can use private address. You tap settings. And then you go to Wi-Fi. And now you tap the Wi-Fi connection that you are on. Notice that my Wi-Fi in my house is called Jere Minich. How about that? So I tap that and I see that I can turn on or off private address. And it tells you right here, using a private address helps reduce tracking. Now, I care about tracking and I care about my privacy. Not everybody has to, not everybody does, okay? My kids don't, but they're kids, so, you know, cool. Now, That's how you get a private address. I'm on page 12. How to stop phone tracking. This is new from Apple, okay? And they need your permission to be able to detect and connect with other devices for your local network. So we're going to go into privacy. And we covered a lot of information in privacy on part 1, but here we go to settings and we scroll down to privacy right under battery. I'll put it in the center of the screen. Privacy. I'm going to tap that and tracking. And I'm going to tap tracking and allow apps to request to track. They have to ask. If you have that off, they don't have to ask. Okay. So I have it on. And that's the end of my handout. Again, I go through it at my speed. You need to go through it at your speed and go through it again. And the older you get, the shorter your memory. I'm going to get out of my mode now, unless you just want to ask questions while I stay in the mode, which I think probably is good. What do you think, Dusty?
Yeah, if there are more questions, you can go ahead and ask now. You can unmute and ask.
See this thing up here? It's called a widget. And if I go over a page, I got some more widgets. This is a widget. It changes. Okay. This is my big clock, so I don't have to look up at the top and see exactly what time it is. That's a widget. Okay. iPhone only. And of course, I have cardiogram on here, which works in conjunction with my watch. Now, I said I was going to change my name and give an address, and I will change my name and give an address, an email address, so everybody can email me if you so desire. Okay. And my email address, I'm typing it in now. Sorry, I'm a one-fingered typer. And I typed it wrong the first time. Program LSCS, standing for Lake Sumter Computer Society at gmail.com.
Where is this located that you just?
Right next to my picture.
Oh.
My smiling face, my scratching my eye. All right. Folks, I have different email addresses. I prefer you to use that address if you have questions or you want to ask me a different question. If you ask me any question, you got to understand that my answer may be, I don't know, because I don't know everything. Okay.
Jerry,
I limit myself as to what I'm doing. Yes.
Are you comfortable with using FaceTime?
FaceTime?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. With my family.
Pardon?
With my family. Okay, if somebody who I don't know tries to FaceTime me, I don't do it. But if my family members try to FaceTime me, I'm comfortable with that.
I'm just wondering, obviously I need to go and look at part 1 and review the handout and prepare questions to ask you. All right.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm wondering if it would be possible, once I get to that point, if I could schedule a FaceTime with you.
Yes, ma'am. If you send me an email address, or if you send me an email and say, hey, Jerry, I'd like to FaceTime with you, I will do that. No problem.
Great, thank you. That would be very helpful.
Yes, ma'am. Again, I want you to be comfortable or more comfortable with your iDevice. Okay. The page I'm showing right now, you can see a 4 badge and you can see a 5 badge, and those are the gray boxes. Those are folders, Folders, folders. And in order to find out what the 5 means, I just lost it. Okay. What happened is I didn't touch my iPhone for 5 minutes and it timed out. Let's see if we can reconnect.
Your first presentation was recorded, so also so we could look at that, right?
Yep.
And when would that be available?
You'll have to talk to Dusty about that.
Yeah, it should be on our YouTube channel. Let me check for you.
Anyway, you can put nine apps in a folder, and then you can have multiple folder pages. And I explained that, of course, in part 1. And some apps I don't have in folders. And I really don't know why. The problem is when I do a Zoom meeting now and go through iPads and iPhones, I change my iPad or iPhone around and then I get lost. But across the bottom, I got my 4 most important apps, which is settings, email, telephone, and internet. And then on my first page, I got messages, photos, my calendar, and internet media database. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is a fantastic app to have on your iPad or your iPhone. And if you don't have it, let me recommend it. What does it do? Well, I'm watching this movie and I don't remember the name of the guy that's in the movie. So I go to Internet Media Database and I go to search and I put in Stagecoach. And I see Stagecoach 1967. I want the 1939 version. Okay. And here, if I don't get out of this, I'm going to go out. Anyway, now what'll show up is all the information about that movie and the cast of characters. Joyce and I use that frequently when we're watching a movie. Ooh, who's that guy? I don't know. He looks familiar. I can't remember his name. Look him up on IMDb. Fantastic. Okay. Calendar. I use it all the time. Not on my phone, but on my iPad. If I didn't have my calendar, I wouldn't know what I'm supposed to do next. Questions? I use notes a lot. Somebody says something to me, I put it in a note, store it on my iPhone. All right. I use notes for grocery lists. I should have shopping in there somewhere. I guess I deleted it. Remember the day when you used to go shopping and before you left the house, you made out a list on a pad of paper or something? Then you got in the car and went to the store and then you said, oh, I left the pad of paper home.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I put my shopping list on my phone because I use notes. And then I say, I want to write a new one. And I start out with shopping. And I want a checkoff list. So now I return, I got another checkoff list, another one, on down the line. That's how I use, and now I take my phone, and you'll see people doing this. They're walking through with their phone in their hand. And some of them, right up in front of their face, and they're walking around the store like this. No, I put mine on the basket there, and then I check off things as I get them done. LastPass, it's my password manager. Joyce and I have one password manager. Same account. Something happens to me, I have access to all of Joyce's passwords for all of her accounts.
Is that an application, Jerry? The password manager?
Yeah, it's an app. You have to download it on your computer, and then you have to pay for it if you want it on other devices. Otherwise, it's free just on your computer. So Joyce and I have it on our other devices. Okay, and I pay, I think it's $1 a month.
Do you have it on your iPhone?
Yeah, you see it right there, iPhone, LastPass. Okay, now when I
Wait.
open it, I got to put in my password.
Wait a minute,
That's-
LastPass? It's called LastPass or?
LastPass, yeah, that's what it's called. You get it from the internet. Okay, and then you can once you download the master on your PC, then you can download it on your devices. All right, or you can start here and download it on your device. But the only password I have to remember now is my master password. And if I forget that, then I've lost everything. So I know what my master password is. And if I tap it, it's going to bring up the calendar to have me put it in. Okay. And you guys don't see it, but I can put in my master password. All right. Now I'm going to get out of there before it kicks me out. LastPass is a password manager. There's about 12 good ones. If you don't have a password manager, get one and quit writing down passwords. Now, here's the way we operate at our house. Joyce says, I don't know how to use LastPass, but I'm joining this website. And then she takes her little book out and she writes down the password for